We can only hold a certain number of items in our working memory at any one time before our cognitive load becomes overwhelmed. Classrooms are incredibly complex places. One of the ways in which one can mitigate against this complexity and the cognitive burden that comes with it is through the establishing of routines. They allow students and teachers to focus on the content of the lesson rather than necessarily on the procedures that are required to get to the content of the lesson.
Just draw a card and find the desk that matches your card.
I've built in several strategies and routines in order to facilitate kids thinking deeply about math.
Every Monday, whenever you come in, you'll draw a new card, you'll get a new group.
Whenever I am setting up my groups, they have to consider like, well, who's gonna talk first? What am I supposed to be talking about? How am I supposed to respond? All of those things take up part of the student's working memory.
Let's start with the person closest to the window in each group this time, and we'll move around clockwise.
I will say like, this is the person that's gonna go first. And it's not because I need to micromanage the class. It's because that's not something I want them to have to spend their time thinking about.
Everything from how students enter the room, to how they organize themselves, to how they access the materials that they need. These routines are all really powerful because they alleviate the cognitive load that both the teacher and the student would otherwise have. It's about establishing the kinds of patterns of working that says, in this classroom, this is how we go about doing things.
Okay, because we're going to be looking at the original function and we're going to be looking at the tangent line, we're going to use two different colors to represent those pieces. So hopefully we can keep those straight in our minds.
It's very easy for students to get mixed up. I like to number my steps because it can be hard for students to even verbalize where they're getting lost in the problem. And so it's such an easy way for them to say, oh, I can get to number 2, but I can't get to number 3.
What is the last step that you were able to get to as a group correctly? You can just show me on your hands. There's 4 steps there.
It's also a really nice formative assessment tool. Like, how far can you get before you get stuck? And you can scan the room and say, oh, we're all getting to the last step. Or most of us are getting stuck on step 3. I need to dig into that a little more.
We cannot think about something, let alone learn it, until we've paid attention to it in the right way. One of the first things that teachers need to do is to get their students to pay close attention in a precise manner to exactly what it is that the teacher wants them to understand and retain. In a sense, she's removing all the noise. None of that procedural noise ought to affect the fact that I want you to pay attention to these ideas.
Very good, either 3s or 4s.
The outcome is that we get to spend considerably more minutes in every single class period thinking about math concepts, because it comes down to how well are we utilizing each minute in class.
The 3x. And 3x derives down to just 3. So
it's not like our kids busy every minute. It's our kids thinking deeply about the concepts most of the minutes of your class. How are you designing lessons so that students are utilizing those minutes for the thinking you want them to be doing? And it just adds up over the course of a year.
As soon as you guys get those jotted down, you can pack up for the day.